I don't know how good an audio podcast this will be, but I'm having a hell of a good time.
That's fine. You can watch the video on Facebook if you're listening.
Okay.
Or on YouTube.
Yeah.
1980s Now.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of 1980s Now, a weekly examination of 1980s pop culture and its influence today. Hey, my name is Will, and joining me, as they do every week, are my friends and co-hosts, Kat and John. Hello, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello, Will and Kat. So nice to be with you, as usual.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And hey, we are recording live. We're recording the show right now while we're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. And speaking of Facebook and YouTube, be sure and check out our friend John over at his own YouTube, Facebook, website, and podcast. Seriously, it's all those things, but they're all called Gen X Grown Up to make it easy for you. In fact, if you go to genxgrownup.com and it's spelled exactly as it sounds, you'll find all of the ways to check out his multimedia empire. There you go.
Organ music to back that up. Thank you, Will.
Yeah. But hey, if you're checking out us live while we record now, be sure and say hello, because we don't know you're there unless you say hi, So
That's right.
we'll say hi to you. Speaking of which, hey, Marcus. Hey, Miss So. Hey, Eric.
Eric. Happy 80s holiday.
Yeah. And hey, speaking of Marcus, on today's show, we're going to be flipping through the pages of our memories as well as those of an actual catalog as we discuss the holiday wish books that held the promise of Christmas, like a great Christmas through our youths. And I mentioned Marcus because special thanks to Marcus Taylor, who is worked on as an associate producer, I would say. I guess that would be what it would be.
Whoa.
On this episode, doing the research, the pulling together the data and categorizing, chronologing it.
Synthesizing? Was he synthesizing too?
I tried it.
Transmogrifying.
Chronologifying.
I always say, let's do these live. It's always me. Neither of you guys is ever, hey, let's go live. And then,
Here we go.
Oh, look, I've performed on stage a lot where you really can't screw up because you're live. And stuff happens, of course. But for some reason we do this. I always start off with this idea that I'm not going to screw up anything. I don't know why. I mean,
and then
that's never true of our show when we record it without being live.
The screw-ups are part of the texture, the tapestry of our ennui.
Yes. It's our je ne sais quoi.
And now I'm Googling. Anyway, hey, I cannot overstate how grateful I am for Marcus Taylor and his work on this episode. And many more to come, I hope. We're going to, We'll continue to figure out ways to work together because it was...
Well, let's see how this one goes over and then we'll decide.
You're right. I get it. You're right. Okay. I'll tell you what. At the end of the episode, we'll say whether or not. We'll have a vote.
All right. Yeah, we'll see how it went.
Do a little poll.
Before we get to our discussion about the wish books from our youth, though, we're going to review current news stories related to 1980s media, including... It turns out you may not need to grow up. You can still be a Toys R Us kid. There's another Stephen King reboot on its way, and another jukebox musical based on the catalog of one of our favorites from the 1980s is also headed to Broadway. And I'm curious if you're, to what extent you're excited about any of these things. All right, I don't think there's any reason not to just start chatting, right?
I just want to make an announcement that I'm awake. I did my homework.
Cat.
Oh.
I am so ready. That's it. We can start now.
I am also awake and also did Kat's homework. So
yeah, and
all right, somebody else did my homework.
I mean, isn't the fact that Kat's making a big deal out of this just a guarantee that something's going to happen?
We're going to be 45 minutes in. We're going to have in the corner up there.
And also, I mean, should you be announcing the things like your expectation? Like when I arrive, I'm like, hey guys, I'm here. Look. I showed up today. Let's start the podcast.
I put on pants.
Yeah. Hey, look.
I washed most of me. Let's go.
Even though
I have a foible to recover from. I'm still recovering.
I think the best thing you can do is lay low. Just let your actions.
Oh, that sounds good. Thank you.
Actions speak for themselves.
No, Kat's still got 2 more weeks of self-deprecation before she can go back to normal. Sorry. It's the pattern. It's the way we go.
There's that notion in customer service. It's like you need 12 good. You have to do 12 good things for a customer to make up for like one bad one. There's some kind of ratio like that.
And being awake doesn't count, clearly.
Hey, well,
She's got to be awake 12 times.
If we delay the news any longer, Kat may not be with us. So let's get started on 1980s news. Hey, this week in 1980s news, as reported by CNN. Again, I'm just so self-conscious when we do this live. Like, why? I do this to myself, and there's no need for it.
You are a singular talent. You just go, do what you do.
I got it.
It's barely edited. People don't know that.
I reached this block years ago when I was starting out acting. I had this sort of wall where I just couldn't perform any better or any. Not to say that I was great at the time, but I couldn't get to a level that I wanted to be, and I couldn't figure it out why that was. And it came down to a good friend of mine saying to me, when you're auditioning or you're acting, rehearsing, whatever, he said, what did he say? He said, and this is going to sound like to you, like, well, this is a common saying now, but at the time, I think he said, go balls out.
Oh.
Now, you may hear that all the time in your households, but at the time, to expose myself in that such, and conjure those images of me, exposing my genitalia in such a way that I may get injured, it worked for me. I understood that.
And it does a great job of regulating temperature.
Oh, you would think of that, John.
John's a boxer's guy, right? He's definitely a boxer's guy.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I got to remember that when we do these shows.
I love how Will was worried about me holding us up from the news.
And instead, we're talking about the location of his testes.
Well, but
interior, exterior to his dungarees.
Well, and no pun intended here, but what I brought up was a real grabber, right? I mean, by me talking about my balls, suddenly you're like, what? I'm here. I can't fall asleep for at least a few minutes.
And everybody likes a good ball grabber. That's for sure.
Exactly. There you go. Hey, as reported by CNN, Toys R Us stores are making a comeback again.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
Remember? Aptly named the Air, Land, and Sea Expansion, WHP Global, the toy store's current parent company, announced an expansion of up to 24 flagship stores, as well as opening additional stores at airports and cruise ships, where the kids are.
Yep.
Hey, Mom, can we fly to Denver this weekend? I want to go toy shopping.
Yeah.
Yep. That's where you think of going when you're going to get a birthday present for your best buddy.
If getting E. coli and shopping duty free for toys is both on your bucket list, take a cruise. Anyway, so it's a bold move for the troubled company, which is attempting yet another rebound after filing for bankruptcy and closing all its stores in 2018. I remember feeling really bummed out about that at the time.
Yes.
Because Toys R Us just sort of loomed large in my childhood. We're going to talk about catalogs in a little moment, but that Toys R Us catalog, was one of those things that just sparked so much joy, just even having the book in our homes.
I'm still bummed about Toys R Us closing.
Yep.
So it used to be a typical weekend when I was could drive myself, kind of like 20, 21, whatever. I would go to Circuit City to look at all the cool electronic gadgets. And I go to Toys R Us to look at all the kids' gadgets.
Yeah.
And now everything that was like my regular day, like there's not like a great toy store anymore anywhere. And there's not even a great electronics store anymore. And I'm not counting Best Buy, so we're not going to go there. But all those like singular entities that did one thing really well.
Yeah.
Like there's not a place for those, with the advent of online mercantile and crap like that. It's a little sad.
And whenever I go near where the Toys R Us store used to be for us, it's like carpeting or flooring now. They sell something
another mattress
different.
store.
Yes.
Mattress warehouse.
And I feel so sad because we spent lots of time in there with our kids.
And I remember being particularly bummed out because my oldest was old enough to experience Toys R Us throughout their childhood and then move on to adult things. But my youngest, was only 8 years old when they shut down. So she only had a small window of having that joy of going there. She remembers it, but it's a vague memory at this point.
Yeah. And two, we talked, I was last week or the week before last when we talked about Chuck E. Cheese / Showbiz and the animatronic band and everything. It was last week. And how Chuck E. Cheese is like kind of this Showbiz is, like this Toys R Us is, right? Because yes, Toys R Us is back.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Right.
When you went like at the airport or wherever, right?
Yeah.
But the Toys R Us was not just, let me shop at a place that has Toys R Us on the sign. It was a giant building, a whole aisle of ride-on little Tykes buildings with batteries, a whole aisle of action figures, a whole aisle. And now what Toys R Us is let's throw some brand new toys in the corner of an existing store and pretend it's Toys R Us. And you're missing out on the Toys R Us-ness of it. Just like Chuck E. Cheese. Well, I got back to it. Yeah. Someone that goes to a Chuck E. Cheese today, they're not having the Chuck E. Cheese experience. They're not having that Showbiz experience. It's correct. Not arcade games. It's not the animatronic band.
Yeah.
They have beer, which they didn't used to have. I guess the only thing you still have is the cardboard pizza. But that's, you brought it back, but really you're just bringing back the name. It's like a movie reboot. It's like you're just gonna slap it. It's the Fall Guy movie, right? It's like we got something. Here's put a name on it. Put toys.
It's possible. Yeah, it seems like that. Now I'm slightly encouraged because with regard to the flagships, I guess taking a step back, like you pointed out, John, in 2021 they partnered with Macy's to open stores within stores. So they had like John saying, a Toys R Us, quote unquote, Toys R Us,
right,
within these department stores. They opened 400 within various department stores or Macy's stores throughout the country. But now, with this talk of this flagship stores, is actually opening Toys R Us stores at different locations in connection with this company called Go Retail Groups. They won't be ready for this year, but you'll start seeing them towards the 2024 holiday season. There'll be 24 flagship locations to start. Which will join the shops within shops that I mentioned already. Yep. To what extent they'll recreate the Toy Stores our youths, I'm dubious or I'm doubtful as well, because the scale alone, like John's pointing out, you probably couldn't afford to rent a space like that with the amount of toys you sell there.
Yeah. Well, and you have a brick and mortar store that is in a place long enough that it's grimy down this aisle, and they have enough crap for clearance, right? These brand new pop-up stores are going to have clearance toys because it's just going to be this season. It's, like I said, it's not it's fine. The name is still alive. I get it, but it's just kind of an animated corpse of Toys R Us is what we're getting.
Corpse.
Miss So says, I think they're still doing a pop-up Toys R Us somewhere in Chicago. It's possible. Maybe for this holiday season they did that.
Yeah, I'm sure they would.
It would be smart, I guess, just to take advantage of the brand.
I'm sure it was successful for them.
Karen says our former Toys R Us is a Joann's. Yeah, and Joann's is at least has some toys. Yeah, that's true. Although that always presented a new challenge for me because we're very crafty in our house, so I take one of my kids to Joann's to buy something for crafting, and inevitably the kids would start veering. Hey, look, there's dolls and stuff over here.
They're inching towards
I need
the
a
fun
400 expensive markers in this box, please. I gotta.
With regard to the airport stores, they've already opened one just this past month here in November at Dallas Fort Worth International Airport through a partnership with Duty Free Americas. The store includes a curated collection of toys, games, and collectibles for purchase. There was something odd that. I know. It's just the next thing here. It also has demo tables, just like a Toys R Us. So that sounds good, kind of good. They have demo tables where you could actually try out the stuff, etc. With regard to the cruise, the cruise part of this new business model, however, we don't know upon which cruise ship they'll be. Who they're partnering with. But this article said that the stores for the cruise industry will sell cruise themed merchandise.
What?
Remember how you put that on your Christmas list back in 1982?
Oh, yeah.
Toys R Us is, you get to the cruise ship section, the catalog. I don't know what that is.
You can build a boat with Lego or something? Is that what they're going to have? I don't know.
Maybe some dress up, like Love Boat cosplay.
I'm thinking a sneeze guard from one of the buffets. Maybe there's like a little. Oh. You guys ever been on a cruise ship?
No, I've never have.
Yeah, I have too. Did you have a good experience, John?
I did. It was a weird dichotomy of experiences because on the one hand, you are living like the Help. But then when you're out of your room, you're living like the bourgeois.
Yeah.
It's like you're treated like a king when you're out of your cabin. But like, get back in your hole and go to sleep in this tiny little whatever.
Right. So. Perpetually moving building.
I don't know my station in life. I'm just on a boat.
I mostly enjoyed my experience, but we were in a storm for, I don't know, some good part of it. And I was fortunate enough not to get seasick. I learned I don't get seasick. Everybody else I was with
That's
did.
handy.
So
dear.
I was responsible for getting food for everybody because people couldn't walk around. They would just feel sick, you know? And they had they had the bracelets on you get, and they were taking Dramamine, everything. But they were like, it's better if I just don't move.
So Will had like 7 bracelets on his wrist. And he's loading up food in a trash bag.
I didn't need it. I didn't even need it. But I remember it was horrible. It was like a horror show though, because the ship was rocking so badly. You going through as you're walking down the corridors. First of all, John, it's like a scene out of Star Trek. You know, where I could just hear some director off camera shouting, left, right. You know, because that's what it looked like.
3 hours.
And then literally, this is terrible, but I'll just tell you guys this. I get to the buffet, and you know, I should start loading up plates for my friends. You know, and literally, like a kid next to me just barfs in the thing. So I skip like that tray and go to the next one. Get food from the next one.
Do you have any other meatballs? Anyone? Any other meatballs?
People were getting sick left and right. It was horrible.
Oh my.
Okay, so neither of you have given me any motivation to want to have this experience.
No, it was a great time, but we didn't get sick. So that's why it was great. It was just you're living in squalor and then putting on as if you are a king during the day.
That's so funny. Will, I think I know why you didn't get seasick. It was all that breakdancing, right?
Maybe.
You were like upside down, sideways, all yeah.
Right. My inner ear is dope.
Yeah.
His vestibular system was had lots of flexibility.
Toys R Us marked its U.S. return with a 20,000 square foot flagship store that opened at the New Jersey American Dream Mall in 2022.
Yes. New Jersey.
All right. Hey, another 1980s news as told to the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast. Should I just say another podcast? A different podcast. Edgar Wright is actively developing Running Man as a new take on Stephen King's novel. The 49-year-old director is working on a movie based on the novel of the same name and has promised that his take will be more faithful to the story than the 1987 dystopian flick that starred Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
Now the good news is he loves the original story. He told the podcast that, quote, I like the film, but I like the book more. And they didn't really adapt the book. Even as a teenager, when I saw the Schwarzenegger film, I was like, oh, this isn't like the book at all. Mm-hmm. And I think nobody's done the book, end quote. So look, whenever we read about somebody who wants to more faithfully adapt the source material, it's exciting. The original Running Man, or the 87 Running Man, it was fine. It wasn't the book. Okay. It was an Arnold Schwarzenegger action film. But I'm excited about this, I think, because what little I know about or recall, because I think I read the book, thinking about the differences between the book and the movie, the book is definitely more interesting. It's the movie took place in like a small kind of. First of all, the reason they have. Did you guys see The Running Man? Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, it's been quite a while, but I mean, it's the. Do you know the premise? Even Kat, it's effectively a game show where you will die. Because they get convicted felons and stuff. It reminds me ever so slightly of that silly Netflix series with the
Squid
people
Game.
with the pinks. Yeah. But it wasn't it's not the same story, but it's a game show where your life is on the line, effectively. I think they bring in like convicted felons and people on death row or whatever to entertain people by going through these gauntlets that are certain to kill you, effectively.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You could take off years off your sentence or be set free if you survive it.
Okay,
so
so there's a chance of survival. It's not you're not doomed. Okay.
Well,
it's slim, but this deck is stacked. Yeah.
Twist in the movie, they kill you no matter what, and they make it seem like you survived. If you have
spoiler.
Yeah, sorry.
Damn.
Spoiler on a 36-year-old movie.
I wasn't going to put this on my watch list.
No. But the original book was more like a lottery where folks could enter to you something you could choose to to enter, but then you'd have to through a drawing, and it was to make money because the future in that book, which was set in 2025, I think. So hang on, folks. It was just so dystopian and upside down. Most of the country was impoverished. And so this was an opera. It's basically the evolution of the lottery that you can't just randomly win money anymore. Now you randomly have an opportunity to win money through these things. And what was also cool about the book is the competition, I think, was like across the country. Like in the game show, it was like several studios put together. It was a section of the city. That's what it was. Section of LA, I think. In the book, it's like get from point A to point B across, certain states while you're being hunted, Oh
my gosh. Okay.
That seems a lot more.
Hence the running man. He's on the run.
Yeah. He's not running a whole lot in the other movie.
It's not a whole lot of running, right? It's a lot more punching and shooting than there is running in the 80s film.
A lot of throw punches. Yeah.
Sounds like
Cutting.
throw punch. It sounds like a terrible adaptation from the book. They just turned it into something.
It had
different.
Arnold in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It had Richard Dawson in it. So.
Yeah. The director claimed that some film franchises have to be mindful of killing the golden goose through oversaturation. And we've talked about this before. Wright says, quote, "I wish some franchises would just kind of have the sense to take a breath and let people get excited about it again. I feel like there's certain things that I love that I don't want to see again, or I don't want to see them again for a long time," end quote. Yeah. We get that a lot, I think, right?
I feel like that just happened with Beetlejuice, right?
What?
Well, it's been
much.
What do you mean?
So much time passed. Like there was one movie that everybody
there's
loved.
enough. Yeah.
So much time
There's
passed.
enough
and it's
now.
like,
There's enough.
all excited. Oh, yeah.
Well, Running Man is like that. If they wanted to revisit it, but they're not. They're doing it again and different. So it's
Okay.
Yeah. I would almost. It feels like I shouldn't care. Like sometimes, like we're making my movie. How do you feel about it? And you're upset or you're happy or whatever. I feel like I don't care sounds very negative. It doesn't bother me, I guess is what I'm saying, because it sounds like the movie that he wants to make is not a retread of the movie that was already made.
Right.
He wants to go back to the source material and make something. So, as long as it stars Chris Pratt, I'm there, baby. But that's the only requirement.
Actually, that's the funny thing, John. It's actually going to start Arnold Schwarzenegger, but Chris Pratt's going to do his voice.
Oh, awesome. That's perfect.
But he's not putting any affect or accent.
No,
he's just going to be Chris Pratt.
I don't know that he
Just
can.
Andy Dwyer. That's it.
Is
That's all
it
he's got.
animated? It's going to be animated, right?
So
Please no.
I don't remember when it was. It was some time ago. I think it was the beginning of this year, maybe. Or maybe it was last year that we took a look at this long list. It was like 35, 36 movies, TV shows that were reboots.
Sequels, reboot stuff. Yeah.
of 80s properties. And I did peek at it because when this came up, I thought, oh, great, here we go again. Got to add this to the list. And I saw a number of those on there that, they must have died because I searched around to see if any of them still had any news since then, and there's nothing. So it seems like the good news is a lot of things that they were going to reboot maybe are, no longer happening. Like, for example, The Lost Boys. I haven't heard anything about that.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Hopefully that's not moving forward anymore.
Let that die.
Yeah. And one of my favorites that has been confirmed as canceled was a reboot of The Little Shop of Horrors, which is one of my favorite musicals and favorite films from the 1980s.
That film is almost like Singing My Way. Like everybody has done their version of Little Shop of Horrors at this point, to the point like which version are you rebooting or redoing? I feel like there have been at least, there was a black and white initially, right? And then there was
the original, right?
Right. And then there was, I know there was the one in the 80s that had Steve Martin and Rick Moranis and stuff. So that was.
And between those, because
there's another one though in the middle,
black and white wasn't a musical. Then it was adapted into a musical off Broadway.
There we go.
Yeah.
80s. Yeah.
And then they made that into a movie in the 80s.
Yeah.
And now they're looking to reboot it. Yeah.
I think about it like I think about Tetris, like what's the original version of Tetris? And so I'm really I don't care when somebody puts out a version of Tetris on some toy and I'm like, it's not the right one. Well, what's the right one really? Right. Because like the original was actually played on a computer with characters and like backspace and tabs and equal signs. Right. So it doesn't really matter. Yeah. Little Shop of Horrors is almost like that for me. It's like, is there a real version, the original? Because the one I know is like the second remake, really, the one I care about. So that one I think it would be fair game, but it's okay that it's not there. I do like Audrey though.
It does. Wait, Audrey or Audrey 2?
Audrey 2.
It does make me think, in the conversation also talking about Running Man, is that if it's a movie we don't like, then we don't care, it seems like, right? Reboot it. I don't care. It was garbage the first time. You could only make it better. I guess that makes sense. We're only protective of the things we love.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, I'm protective of you guys.
Aw, yeah.
He did say he was protective, or he said he's not.
He is. Okay, I talked over him. I'm sorry. Yeah, he's protective of us.
We got to work on that for when we're live.
Yeah, right. We'll get it next time. Don't worry.
Now, I just wanted to say, neither of you said, you got to see this movie. So I'm
The Running Man?
Interested at all, actually. Yeah.
It's okay. It's fine. If it's on and it's raining, go ahead and watch it. It's okay. But otherwise.
As many films as I've enjoyed that Schwarzenegger's been in, there's probably very few that I would say to someone, oh, you should see this.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe one or two, like Terminator 2. Yeah, you should definitely see that.
Okay.
True Lies.
Conan?
That's a really good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, Conan, that's fine. Conan, the sequel, that's fine.
Yeah. No, that's not that good.
But
No.
Commando, that's fine. Running Man is fine. It's just
Predator.
All right, Predator you should see. That's a good one.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Jingle All the Way.
You know, I actually like that movie. That movie gets shit on every year. I like that movie.
Do you have a Turbo Man in your toy chest?
Do you like that movie, John?
I think I do. I think it's been so long since I've seen it, but I don't remember going, oh, I hate that movie. So I think I probably like it. It's Christmassy, right?
Yeah.
So we talk about Christmas movies right up there. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a Christmas movie really, but it's an interesting film.
Oh, yeah. Miss Sosa's Twins. Yep.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, I would recommend that one too.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Fourth Wall Breaking, Last Action Hero. I know this isn't a Schwarzenegger episode, but you open the door.
Yeah.
But would you recommend someone see it?
Yeah, you have a point.
Kindergarten Cop, Karen says.
Kindergarten Cop.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
He punches that guy out by his car. I love that episode.
But it's probably less than 50%. Maybe it's 25%. He's made a lot of movies, so.
Interesting. Yeah.
And many of the ones we mentioned are after the 80s, too. 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, all right. Hey, speaking of the Little Shop of Horrors and musicals that we love, here comes another musical that has some potential, as reported by Deadline. The Huey Lewis musical is headed to Broadway. The Heart of Rock and Roll, a new musical featuring the hit songs of 80s superstar Huey Lewis and the News, is coming to Broadway this spring. So we've got The Outsiders the musical coming this spring, and now we've got Huey Lewis musical as well. Previews begin at the James Earl Jones Theater. I didn't know he got his own theater.
When did that happen?
Where are the plans?
This is CNN.
Yes. Commander, tear the ship apart. I want the passengers and I want them alive.
I'm not even going to try one.
Anyway, the preview started March 29th, 2024, ahead of the opening, which is April 22nd. It's described as a, quote, raucous rom-com, end quote. I'm already still interested because they're not taking itself too seriously. You got that I think that's the danger with some musicals. It's like, which way you go? Oh, John's interested too. I know John loves musicals.
Yeah. It just changed the whole complexion of this because... Yeah, go ahead. I'll continue to I'll ponder.
It includes songs such as The Power of Love, Working for a Living, Stuck with You, and If This Is It. Now, Kat and I saw Back to the Future, the musical, earlier this year. And of course, that features a couple of Huey Lewis songs as they were in the film. And this is going to be, it's got to be a record, right? There's going to be 2 musicals on Broadway, both that feature The Power of Love as a song.
Yeah.
That's some kind of record.
Sure. So, Marcus says you should have tried Kat, that you couldn't have been worse than John or
Than those two.
Oh, Marcus,
John or I.
Your lack of faith disturbs me.
Right. If this is a counselorship, where are the ambassadors? Per Huey Lewis, he said, quote, working on our show has been so gratifying. I've always been a storyteller, and it's a thrill to see my songs woven together in such a fantastic new story that it will all take place on the world's most prestigious stage, Broadway. It just makes that ride that much sweeter.
So here's where my brain went.
Yeah.
So let me share with you.
Where'd your
I
brain
didn't know
go?
what to expect until you started talking about being a rom-com. And I'm like, oh my God, the Huey Lewis book has so many Stuck with You, hip to be square. It's so lighthearted. It's so kind of like, oh, you know, like Stuck With You is probably the one that sticks out of my brain as emblematic of the way Huey Lewis songs treat relationships. It's like so pragmatic. It's like, it's you and me. We got our flaws and our foibles, but we're together, you know, that kind of thing. And there's a thread of that runs through so many of those songs. And so like all of a sudden I'm like, now I can see a story shaping out of it. And before it was just a tribute show to Huey Lewis. And now I can see what you could do with it. That could be cool.
Yes. Oh. Yeah. I thought it was going to be a tribute too. Just like
yeah.
The producer, Hunter Arnold, added, Huey Lewis's song catalog is not just music. It's a powerful bridge to an era where our hearts danced freely. Love knew no bounds, and every moment was a celebration of life. This show is more than nostalgia. Hey, just like ours, just like our podcast.
That's right.
It is a remedy for our age of anxiety and a joyful gift to Broadway audiences. We could use that as our tagline. Hey, it's Will. Welcome back to another 80s. Let's see. More than nostalgia, it's a remedy for our age of anxiety and joyful gift to Broadway. All right, I've got to change that one.
You're welcome.
Yeah, is that name taken for a podcast? We should just do that.
What, you're welcome?
Yeah. You're welcome, yeah.
You're welcome.
Casting and additional news will be announced at a later date. The Heart of Rock and Roll premiered at San Diego at the Old Globe in 2018, and I don't recall any of that. Anyway, I'm curious what you guys think, because we've seen a number of other what they call jukebox musicals, which are these musicals that are made up of essentially like this. It's a catalog. Generally, you take a catalog of music from one particular artist, and they thread a story through it, or they have a story and then they apply the music. It's happened many times. Mamma Mia is a really great example. You know, the music of ABBA.
Okay.
Billy Joel had one. Queen. There's been not all these have made it to Broadway, but many of the acts, some of them tell the story of the artists themselves. They use the songs to do that, and others they tell different stories as well. I was wondering if there's any other pop star or rock star, one of your musicians that you care for, that you think their catalog would make a good musical. Other than Duran Duran.
I was going to say, I think Duran Duran would make a terrible musical.
Oh, right. Just take it off the table right away.
Yes, yeah.
What a twist.
Because half the time, what is he even talking about? I don't know. I don't think that would work.
It reminds me what John was, we were talking about that. The poetry.
I love the music. But I don't think it would make a good story.
Both of the ones that I was thinking of, one of them's actually been done. Okay. And it's the type that you're talking about, which the one that I saw, I looked at some footage online. It's from 2006, and it was called Ring of Fire. So it was the story of Johnny Cash.
Oh, Johnny Cash.
Because I think his music can tell the story of his life. He was a tortured guy who had his demons and that kind of thing. Yeah. And though he never actually spent a lot of time in prison, he spent a lot of time with prisoners and that kind of thing. And I think you could tell some interesting stories through his music in that. Right. And that made me think of another one, which there was only a movie about, but they've never done. There's another legendary country artist that has had like 60 or some odd albums. Loretta Lynn has an interesting story.
Yeah.
Right.
How she was brought up poor, and she pulled herself up by her bootstraps. Exactly. Yeah. That's one that I think. Now, if you want to do something like Huey Lewis thing, you could pick anybody. I'd be most interested in seeing an artist's life through their music retold as one of these musicals. Really.
I'm really surprised Coal Miner's Daughter wasn't a musical yet. You
I mean, it's a movie.
Yeah.
But, I looked and there's not one that I could find. Ooh. I'm like, why not?
Yeah. I'm going to go. Good.
How about Dolly Parton? That would be a great musical.
Yeah, I'd be shocked there isn't one, but maybe.
Yeah, that almost feels too big to make, right? That's
huge, yes.
Oh, Kat, come on now.
I'm talking about her musical catalog.
Oh. Thank you.
Gosh, yeah. Karen says there's a Neil Diamond one right now.
Wow.
That's a good choice. Marcus says Prince, Beatles, Bob Dylan, George Michael, Wham, Hall & Oates. Now, these are ones that exist, Marcus, or these are ones that you're suggesting? I think ones he's suggesting, right?
I think these are
his wish list.
Well, I think there's a Bob Dylan one. I don't think there's any of the others. There's one based on Bob Dylan's music, but not...
Okay.
Karen also says Sting in The Police.
There's Karen.
Yeah. Which song would they use for Stuart Copeland choking Sting, though? would be the
That's just a musical version of Running Man. With all the animosity between them.
He's running from his bandmates. You know.
That's right. Yeah. Marcus says they have big enough catalogs, musical catalogs, to
pull
support a
stuff
show.
from. Sure.
And he's saying one that I thought of too, Bruce Springsteen. That seems like,
sure.
yeah.
Oh, wouldn't the Police one just be like a burlesque, like with all of the overt sexuality in that music?
Yes.
How can it not be 21 or older for this show, ladies and gentlemen?
I need to see some.
There will be fluids on stage.
Oh gosh, splash zone. There's a splash zone. Please
Did you
lift
bring
your
your plastic?
tarps now. Yes.
It's like a Gallagher concert, but
You
it's
may now lower your tarps. See, in addition to the ones I met, also Whitney Houston, Tina Turner, Miami Sound Machine, the Go-Go's, Michael Jackson, and Madonna have had their catalogs turned into musicals.
They have.
Miami Sound Machine. Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's On Your Feet. It's about Gloria Estefan and her
How
husband
cool.
coming together. It's
gosh.
really fantastic. If you have a chance, I don't know if it's still on tour or not, but really, really good.
That's so cool. I had no
Biographical,
idea.
yeah. I got a real offbeat choice. I always thought that the Waitresses, Chris Butler's music. He's so, I love their music. It's so differently assembled. And I think there's a story that could be created from their, they don't have many albums because, they didn't stay together for very long. And then Patty died early in the 1980s. I think it was early in the 1980s. But yeah, I think there's a through line that you could thread through it and would be really interesting. And you'd have a couple of well-known songs in there too.
So you're going more for the story part of it there, not so much a huge musical catalog, but
Well, I think you only need one
storyline.
album really, right? I mean, if you think of it on music, it's got maybe 12, 14 songs in it. Some, reprises or reprises. Reprise.
But they all got to be good enough to carry a number. Like not every song on every album is usually strong enough to be featured in a musical like that. I think that's why.
Yeah.
I think that's why a lot of people are pointing out in the chat, people that have large libraries of music, because you can cherry pick the very best ones. Or if you have a certain plot twist in the story, there's probably a song for it. Whereas if you're pulling from one album, I'd be worried like the music in the album has to force the story so that the things fit and it might not follow true to the story you're trying to tell.
Yeah.
Good point.
And I think to some extent too, because, Karen says David Lee Roth, Van Halen.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I feel like I recall there's one of these types of jukebox musicals where the musician's still alive and available. So they write new music, so, okay, we've got all these songs covered. I just read about this. I'll write 2 new songs to cover these things,
Is the problem on not having the right song in the catalog we were just talking about?
Yeah. So while Prince probably has enough, he's not around to write something else in the event you would need him.
But he's still putting out new albums. I mean,
Oh yeah, he's
he hasn't stopped publishing.
Marcus says ELO. Now, my favorite ELO musical, there already is one. Now, it doesn't use their existing catalog, but they wrote the music for the musical Xanadu.
That's right.
All right, hey, let's get out of here and talk about
John.
some catalogs and toys and things. That was 1980s news. Hey, I know it doesn't sound like it because our show sounds so damn good, but we don't have a big corporate sponsor or a giant podcast network behind us. No. In fact, this show is brought to you week after week with the generosity of folks just like you, listeners who give us $1 or $2 or more every month to help us pay all the different bills associated with creating a wonderful show about the 1980s. To find out how you can support our show with $1 or $2 or the many free ways to help our show, visit 1980snow.com/support. Whatever you do, thank you so much. Again, special thanks to Marcus Taylor, who joins us here in our chat as well, for producing this segment that I'm about to get to you.
all right.
So really, I say that to give him credit for 2 reasons. One, life-saving. If this works out, Marcus, because he's it was great working with him on this. Look, we're going to have better shows now because I'm not doing it. Someone else is. But I also say his name many times because in the event you don't like it, I got somebody to blame. And then like a company can say, well, we fired that guy. Although could we fire someone who volunteers?
You can block his email. I mean, it's not that, I suppose it's not that tough.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Hey, so we're going to talk about the catalogs, the toy I don't want to say just toys because there's some other items that we wanted as kids, and certainly that were in these books. So we'll say wish books, I suppose. The wish books that we got in our youths, and look, we're going to talk about our experiences having them, how we use them, what it felt like to have them. Give you a little bit of history that Marcus also put together with regard to how we got to the ultimate wish books that we had. And I've got an online, with the benefit of the internet, we actually are able to actually flip through the pages of an actual wish book from Sears wish book from 1983. And see what maybe you would have been interested in getting, maybe some toys you coveted but didn't get, and so on and so forth. All right, so hey,
that's so cool.
Look, this is inspired by Marcus, really, but I'm going to pretend like it's me. I already told him I warned him I'm going to just like take a lot of his things and make it. He knows, right?
Just take it.
Yeah, okay. All right. Hey, but this is true though. Marcus, this idea came from Marcus, but what is true is just a few weeks ago, I received the whole, holiday catalog from Amazon. It's a fairly new thing. I don't think we've gotten them in many years past, but we did get it. And to my delight, my daughter, disappeared. She snatched the book from the mail and disappeared into our office, and only reemerged hours later. And when she did, now in the past, when she's gotten these books or like a Target one, she'd emerge with a collage, like it's basically the world's most expensive collage for Santa. It was so adorable. She would take either tape when she was very young or like a glue stick and construction paper and just
That's so cute.
back and front, some of them were tiny little cuttings of a thing that was, and then she would, mail this to Santa.
And you have to take the little piece and find out what page it came from so you know what product it is so you can order it.
Yeah. As she got older, we'd have to Santa's going to need to know the item number. He's got a very sophisticated operation with barcodes and scanners.
Here, just fill out this Google document with all the material. And we're going to Dropbox that to Santa.
Yes, right.
Miss So made collages like that too, she says.
This time, my daughter emerged with, because she's older now, she emerged with she has a different relationship with Santa. I'll say this as well. I'll say it that way. She emerged with a 2-sided list. It had about 25, 30 items on each side. The first side was color-coded red and was labeled something like must-haves. And the back side was like green and said, can live without.
Nice to have. Yeah.
Yeah, nice to have.
Oh my gosh. Right. Wow.
Anyway, of course, this reminded me and Marcus of the catalogs we received during our childhoods and how we would consume them, because really, it was only chatting with Marcus about this and reading the research he put together that reminded me that the arrival of these books kind of conjured a sort of Christmas magic that lasted for the weeks between you getting the book and ultimately, opening presents. Because not only because you were living in this time where anything was possible. Any of the things you saw in the book that you imagined getting, like that Omnitrack that I didn't get, you were living in a future where you had it. You knew what you were going to do. And so for 6, 8 weeks, 2 months, whatever it was between getting these catalogs and actually, waking up on Christmas morning, it was just, I don't know, there was this magic. You're filled with this Christmas spirit in a way that this might have been the only time of year I was optimistic about my future. This window of time.
Right up until the morning, and then snap back to reality when you didn't get everything you wanted.
Now, I think the Sears Wish Book was the one that I mostly recall getting first and was most excited to get year after year. What was the book that you guys recall getting? Or
it was the Sears catalog, even though we didn't shop at Sears necessarily. I mean, we had an account at Sears, but the Sears catalog, it had everything. It had naughty pages that I could look at when my parents weren't around. It had the toy pages I could look at when they were, but it had stuff that I didn't know I wanted. Like the stuff your parents would get you that you didn't know you actually kind of wanted, like cool furniture for your room that was kid-sized. I would have known to ask for that, but I'm like, ooh, look at all this stuff that I could have in a little desk that's just like at school, or a little this or whatever, because it was not just, here, look at the stuff that you kid probably want. It was, look at everything we've got that we have positioned in a way that makes kids want them. Nice, bright colors and purely amateur talent in the photos, sitting holding a teacup, looking dumb, whatever they would do. But I would find things that I would never put on my wish list because it would jeopardize the likelihood of the more important things, but they were awfully cool. You know, it was that. Oh, it was the nice to have list of your the side of your daughter's
Right.
list. Like those are neat. If you bought everything on the other side, then come here. But otherwise, don't waste your money.
Flip over. Yes. John, you reminded me. I wasn't thinking about stuff being inspired, like seeing something in a book I wouldn't have thought to get. But you reminded me. One year I asked for a desk blotter set. You know, which was a desk blotter and a pencil holder and a little stapler.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
like a pad and like an address book.
You're like a little executive. You're a Rolodex.
Oh my God. I like to be so organized as a kid.
Right. You have 3 friends in your Rolodex, but it's a Rolodex, by God.
That's amazing.
Marcus says his favorite was the J.C. Penney's book.
Mm.
Karen also says that her mom ordered Cabbage Patch Kids preemies from the J.C. Penney's book, but they also had Sears and J.C. Penney. Also Montgomery Ward, they had a great book too. What was your book, Kat?
I got to tell you,
Yeah.
I did not have a book.
Oh, okay.
No book.
No book. I don't ever remember receiving at our house a book like that, you know, like a big old catalog. I don't know why. I was aware they existed. I heard other kids talking about them. And I think maybe my grandparents had the Sears book. I remember hearing about it, I guess, when we were visiting. But that is not an experience that I had. I didn't go flipping through a catalog.
Right.
How did you know what cool crap you wanted?
Yeah. Yes.
I just didn't. Like, I guess
Just
maybe
whatever was in TV commercials, or
I
you got
just
socks,
got
or what'd you
stuff.
get?
I guess maybe
just got
something
stuff.
from commercials. I did. Like, I don't. Oh, okay. There was one Christmas list. Oh, I think I posted it.
Yeah.
in
Say,
our-
didn't you
in our
find a
green
Christmas
room.
list from when you were a kid? I remember that. Yeah.
I did. I'll have to dig that up again.
It was all the members of Duran Duran. So you got through those first.
I wish I could remember. I wanted like stickers and socks and pudding pops. Apparently, I wanted pudding pops for Christmas.
Santa packed stuff in dry ice.
I think I wanted like grocery items and like things you would just come across in like Kmart.
Oh,
Some more gruel, please. More.
Yeah, you know, I was feeling sad already that Kat's Christmases didn't even have a catalog she could imagine getting things from. Not necessarily get them. But now I feel even worse that she was actually using her Santa's list to buy groceries for the family.
And while you're at the grocery, you need some produce, right?
Yes.
So, Kat, so when you found your Christmas list, in what form was your Christmas list? Like, it was on the back of an envelope? Was it on some lined paper? What was it on?
It was on special little paper. It might have had my name on it, but it had like a pretty little picture. It's like a notepad paper. I have to dig this up and share it with
stationery
you.
of some kind.
Yeah, some kind of little.
Unsurprisingly, I'm sure none of my Christmas lists are extant because I'd forgotten this until just now. They were typically 3x5 poster board on my wall.
What?
But now I wrote large, but yes, at some point my mom was like, I'm going to put this poster board on the wall and this is where you write your list. So that way I could add things to it when I wanted to, and she could come and look and see what I had added. So it was like this living document. But I almost remember like one Christmas, like maybe there were check marks on it. And I'm like, wait a minute, you can't do that.
Oh, no.
I'm like, this is not a place for you to index what you've already bought. This is horrible.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Oh.
I thought you were saying that like your poor parents, like they're like, get us your list, Johnny, and you emerged with a poster board. No, it was your mom's idea. Okay, well that's a good idea.
I think it was. I think so. Yeah, that's how I choose to remember it.
That is funny. I was amazed that I found a list. I don't remember making any lists, any Christmas lists. And I was like, wow, I did that one time.
Yeah. And like John said earlier, like, Karen said her mom ordered some stuff out of the Sears catalog or JCPenney's catalog. The same for me, John. Like we got the Sears wish book, but it was never my understanding that, we would fill out a form at the back and mail it, get something.
Yeah.
It was just inspirational, although at the time book. I probably
find things you wish for. Yeah.
I was wishless.
Most folks, you saw what you wanted and then you went and got it wherever you were going to get it. And sometimes you would see toys in these catalogs that you wouldn't actually ever see in real life. Like, John pointed out stuff you wouldn't think to buy, but there's some stuff that's like, toys that you didn't know existed, or a toy that you coveted. The only thing you're ever going to see is just that picture of it, because even your friends never had these, some of these toys.
Yeah.
Anyway, John already anticipated this, but I think it's interesting that, the books, the books were organized, most of them, and the one we're going to look at in just a moment, it was a reverse chronological order. And maybe this was clever on the part of the marketers who developed these books, and intentional, just accidental, but they're in reverse chronological order, starting with the most adult items and then slowly devolving into childish things.
Oh my God.
Almost as if, even the older folks could jump in somewhere and become younger if they were actually read it, left to right, as we would in Western culture here.
Yeah.
But when I chatted with Marcus about this, he recalled that the bras were always curiously positioned close to the toys, as if maybe a test or a trap. Where your first thought is like, hey, this isn't for me. Makes you feel a little uncomfortable, and then almost immediately, you're like, hey, hang on a second now.
No.
Let's not be too hasty. What is this? Just some brief history here. The first mail order catalog actually harkens back, and I think it was Karen who mentioned this brand here, to Montgomery Ward. In 1872, Aaron Montgomery Ward established the first ever mail order business. Now, the first thing that strikes me as curious is someone that was born with the name Aaron Montgomery Ward ever had to work a day in his life.
Good point.
It sounds like even in 1872, he'd have a sweater tied around his shoulder. But anyway,
on the slopes.
Even though Wards.com says that they were the first ever, it turns out actually that's not true. Benjamin Franklin, in fact, sold books by mail in nearly a century earlier. And so Aaron Montgomery Ward also invented fake news. He was also the first to do that. But he worked as a traveling salesman, and he firsthand saw, the resentment of folks who were, these hardworking consumers that resented the profit that was, or the additional charges that were added on, so that a middleman could profit between the actual manufacturers and the consumers. So he is credited at least with conceiving of this idea of buying stuff wholesale and then just marking it up a little bit to pass on the savings to consumers, which, it was a novel idea back then. It may be a passé idea now, because even though folks present themselves in that way today, I don't know that anybody's really doing that anymore, right? It seems like
Right.
it's the opposite. Now we have stuff made in China for literally cents, and it's sold by Walmart for like 10,000% markup. 9,999% of that goes to Walmart, and some pittance goes to some employees. All right, this isn't a soapbox episode. Anyway,
Merry Christmas, everyone.
And another thing actually Marcus points out is that another sort of creation, certainly it seems, and this is a concept I'm sure that predates Ward, but certainly one that was in these first to get it in these catalogs and probably marketed on this level, was this idea of buy now and pay later.
When I watched Little House on the Prairie, I got the impression that existed, but only at a very local level.
That's what I was thinking of too. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But you weren't like beholden to some company and they weren't running a tally. It was just, old Doug up at the Mercantile, he's keeping on. We bought more flour this one. And then when the crop comes in, we'll pay him. Even at
that general store, it wasn't like put it on our tab, but it was something like that.
Early credit.
Yeah. It was some kind of credit, certainly.
Yeah, it was like Pa says, put it on, do whatever with it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so following the success of Ward's, now we're getting closer to us in time here. Sears, Roebuck and Company sent out their first general merchandise mail order catalog in 1888. And beginning in 1896, the catalog started adding more Christmas items each year, including wax candles, for setting your tree on fire, presumably, because that was the types of decorations that they had, right? Christmas cards, ornaments, artificial trees, and ultimately electric Christmas lights. No mention of fire extinguishers. The 1933 catalog was the very first Christmas book as we knew it.
Okay.
Their semi-annual books were already referred to as wish books or book of wishes. And after 1933, the term wish book became synonymous with their annual catalog. So that in 1968, Sears made it official by renaming their Christmas season book the Wish book.
I mentioned to you before the show, Will, that interestingly, I just recorded an episode about the Sears Wish book for Retro Days. And it occurred to me when I was recording that I never thought about its origin. It was like something that was always around. Obviously, it was around as old as we are, well before that, but it was like an institution that wasn't even questioned. It was just, it was like the TV Guide was for us. It was like, well, of course, everybody's got the TV Guide. It's always been here forever, right? I mean, when you get older and you look into the origin of those things, you're like, oh, someone had to think that up. It had to evolve to be the form that it was. But it got to the point, certainly by the time I was a kid, as far as I was concerned, it was perfect. There's no need to iterate on what it was. The order of the stuff, like you said, when we look back online, I flip through old ones. I'm like, yep, that's the order. Pretty soon we should get to furniture. There's the furniture, right? You know it's coming.
Oh my
gosh. It's comfortable. And it was easy to go through. And I was ruminating about like how it evolved into something and we have dates and times, but really at the time that we had it, which is why Gen X is so special. While the 80s were so awesome, it was perfect. It was right the spot where it needed to be. And now it's never going to go back to that because we've advanced in all the technology and, online stuff. But when Amazon does it, that's why we love it so much. Like, that's like the thing. Yeah, that's why it's so cool to have now.
Yeah, and to your point, Mike, I told you, my daughter gets those catalogs. She's thrilled. And she grew up with the internet. She's never known a day in her life without it. Essentially, or with, the benefit of that we have. So, there's something it was crafted over, a century or two that, that still inspires that joy.
And it wasn't just a catalog, because I remember everybody was wearing Christmas clothing and everything had candy canes and jingle bells everywhere.
Okay.
Even when they often came to the house, like in August. Because if you wanted to order from Sears, you had to put in your order weeks ahead of time, right? So here we are, and we're not even getting cool yet. And already here's this Christmas catalog that you got to drool over stuff for the next 6 months.
When my kids were little, I think we would sometimes receive a Target catalog. And I have a memory of my son getting super excited over the Target catalog and drawing circles, maybe ripping pages. I don't remember exactly.
And those were really thin in comparison, though, right? They weren't.
Yes, very thin.
Well, and too, Kat, I wonder if, I'm not yelling the kids get off the lawn or anything, but there's something about having a curated document of offered materials versus type in what you want and we'll produce results. There's something it's just a complete paradigm shift of the way that people search. Now they filter down what they want by searching for what it is they think they want, right? It's hard to go to Amazon with no ideas. You try shopping for your mom for Christmas and go, gifts for mom for Christmas. I don't know what to get, right? It's difficult. But with Idea Book, you could flip through things that moms would like. There's a section of cool things that, it was a way to help you imagine things you had not even thought of. And now you can only find things that you search for, it seems.
So I mentioned that the Montgomery Ward was the first, or at least they said they were the first. They really weren't the first, it turns out.
But they weren't.
Ish.
To publish a book, mail order catalog rather, in 1872. And at that time, it was a single sheet that had 163 items on it. First of all, I mentioned earlier about my daughter cutting stuff out. That's got to really be tiny.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No images, I guess. Maybe it's just a list of things. Anyway, it wasn't until 1992 that we had a all-time high page count for Christmas catalog. So once again, it's time to play.
Happy New Year!
Oh, there you go.
Yay.
All right, let's just do closest without going over here. So
okay.
The smallest catalog in 1872 was one page. In 1992, we had the record for highest page count.
What year was the highest?
1992 for a Wish Book type catalog.
Okay.
All right, closest without going over here. Let's see. I'll flip my Madonna coaster here. John, you call it. Cat called it last time.
Heads.
It is heads.
Oh, no.
You're out of a second.
Oh, no.
That's terrible.
What do you think?
How many pages? So I'm thinking, I don't remember them being quite as big as a phone book.
Yeah.
But then again, I wasn't probably looking at one in 92 when I was in college. So,
I wouldn't have guessed as to how many pages are in a phone book.
Yeah, and it's tissue paper thin,
Yes,
whereas the catalogs are a thicker, heavier stock of paper too.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go
paper.
355 pages.
355. Why am I writing with a broken pencil? 355. Kat, what do you
for the
think?
challenge?
Man,
$1.
No, that's forbidden on our show.
I'm not allowed. Yeah, without going over. I'm going to say, I'm just going to go
3,000.
with
4,000, Kat. 6,000 pages.
400.
400. All right.
That's just 45 pages.
That's equal to the dollar, right? It's basically the dollar.
It is, yeah. It's on the other
I
end.
was thinking 300 something, and then you said it. So
Okay.
I can't
All right.
say
All right.
300 something.
All right. Well, the actual answer is 834. But you get correct.
Wow.
What?
Oh, man.
I was afraid to say 500. Oh my God.
How? It's like the complete works of Shakespeare. What is that? It's got to be.
I don't know.
Was it hardcover bound?
a 20-pound bond paper?
I think of the Miracle on 34th Street when they're at Gimbel's and he brings out the giant hardback book that has all the ads. You know? Step this way, clunk, and open the book.
The sad news, talking about Toys R Us going, but although it did come back, is that the Sears catalog in particular was, while it was published continuously beginning in 1888, it was no longer published after 2011. Although they did bring it back for 1 year, an abbreviated version in 2017.
Yep.
All right. Hey, let's take a look at some of the comments here. Marcus, no. What do we got here?
Marcus, no.
Marcus
No, not
says,
Marcus.
Marcus
Someone
says he
else.
always worked. Marcus says he always worked from back to front. And I don't know what that has to do with catalogs, Marcus. This is not the place for discussing that.
I hope he's talking about catalogs.
I don't
TMI.
think so. Karen says that 1 year Montgomery Ward had a toy index. They organized the toys by brands. Oh, that would be helpful.
Ooh, wow.
Although, like John's suggesting, maybe that's more like today, which would maybe discourage you from just finding that random thing.
The discovery. Turn the page. What the hell is next? Oh my God, that thing I didn't know existed. That's kind of the coolest part.
Yeah. So I am going to now, with the benefit of the internet here, bring up a catalog, Sears Wish Book catalog here from 1983. Let's see
Look
here.
at that fireplace.
And I figured out, just look, we're going to flip through some of the pages here and point out some things and see if there's anything that inspires any of your recollections, or maybe to this day something you covet and maybe want to track down on eBay.
I remember this cover.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I remember in Marcus's notes, he had pointed out that at some point they moved to these Christmas scenes. You know, they didn't have these to start, but once they settled on these sort of, fireplaces and Christmas trees, et cetera, they stuck with this theme, their wish books. So this is the 1983 Sears Wish Book, as I mentioned. Just going to flip through some of the pages and point out some of the things. And like I mentioned, when we get to, if we get to a section that you want to, or you think of something you want to take a look at, let me know. But
There's a unicorn in there.
the first few pages are sections where they have gifts by price. So gifts under $10, gifts under $5. Hey, there's a whole Cheryl Teague's clothing section.
Oh my gosh. I can remember that a little bit. Being aware of it.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
For as much as 80s fashion gets knocked, this looks pretty contemporary to me. I think my wife has that sweater in the middle of it.
Well, hey.
Is it from 83?
No.
1980s influence today.
From last Christmas, I think.
Yes.
When does a
Oh,
velour
the track
jogging
suits, though.
Look at the
jogging suit go
velour.
out of style? Never.
Oh, she looks like she's ready to audition for the role of Steve Austin on the $6 Million Man. You got the red with the white stripes and everything.
Or maybe his
yes.
stunt double, yeah.
That's amazing.
Or Star Trek uniforms, it looks like they're wearing.
Anyway, and as Marcus and I both mentioned here, let's just jump ahead here. You know, got to some more of the scintillating content that when you're a kid. Now, there's no brassieres in this, but I know as a kid in 1983, I probably would have been intrigued by this section of nightgowns.
The one on
have
the
been.
left, probably.
Yeah,
Most. Yeah.
While most of these are fairly, what would you say, humble or
Modest.
modest? There you go.
Yes. Yep.
This one's pretty
Yep.
short. I don't know.
Where's that one?
I would
That
zoom
was-
and enhance.
That one's letting the breeze in.
Now, Karen had pointed out the some stuff was organized by brand in that Ward's catalog. I did note that even in this Sears catalog, that they did have some sections that seemed to be by brand, where there'd be a mix of toys and furniture and clothing, depending on the particular toy line. For example, here's a Garfield section.
Ooh.
I think my sister had these slippers. They seem really familiar.
Oh my good, a prop. Cat has a prop.
Oh, here we go. Why do I even mention anything anymore?
Garfield.
Oh, we are video right now. Okay, Kat, hang on. Do it again.
See how appropriate?
Yeah. Forgot we were on video.
So is that a vintage Garfield from a Christmas, you think?
It is vintage.
Very cool.
1981.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's in great shape too.
Yeah, it's not bad.
He's got writing on his ball.
Oh.
Is it like
my uncle was a basketball coach.
Okay.
And so this was a gift to him one year, I think,
I see.
for his initials. Yeah.
I see.
Very cool. And much like with the Garfield, there's some other sections after here. Smurfs.
Oh.
Again, you get the
All
toys
brands,
mixed in with some other things. Did a desk blotter I might have asked for. Yeah.
This is 83, so this was post when TV shows and cartoons could just be a big marketing campaign. So hence, full page of Garfield, full page of Smurfs.
Yeah.
Because those cartoons were pitching kids, don't you want all these toys based on these characters? And now that's a proliferation of them here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Karen pointed out she remembers one year Montgomery Ward had a cover with the Smurfs sitting next to a fireplace.
Now here we get to stuff that would have got my attention. This is Star Wars. We're talking about 83. So the toys here are Return of the Jedi. Now, I was getting a little older at this point to be collecting Star Wars toys, but I did and still do have the Jabba playset that's featured back there.
No.
Including Jabba and Salacious Crumb.
Oh, Salacious Crumb is my favorite. I love
And
him.
they painted in little blaster, like they painted in the laser beams. See this?
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh.
And I did get some of these figures that year as well. It was always a hard thing when you got Star Wars figures as a kid, because it's like, I've got one Stormtrooper. Great.
Did I just see Mr. Fortuna down there? I think I did.
They wanna wonder.
There's my man. There he is, hanging out Jabba's castle playset.
Now, as you move further along here, and you'll see that, it was curious. So we had this, what? Oh, that's R2D2.
No. Go back one more. Go back one more.
I'm going about R2D2.
I thought that kid had a $6 million man outfit on after we just talked about it, but it
and
wasn't.
he's running. I was like, he's running too.
And he was running, and I'm like, is that?
No, it's just.
I want everything in this book. You know the money you would have, you had one of everything in this book to sell.
I'd want that R2D2 toy box or whatever that is.
And this is the reaction I had when I had the book. You turn the page and go, that's what it did to me, and it's doing it again.
Yeah, and you would start from I'd start from the beginning. Now, the adult stuff, as we mentioned, is sort of at the front, so you'd kind of flip through it pretty quickly. But I didn't want to miss anything. And smack dab in the middle of this book, before we get to like more of the toys, electronics, etc. in earnest, that Star Wars section, I would have missed it if I didn't go methodically page by page, which I did to be sure that I wouldn't miss
What
it.
size do those Pac-Man pajamas come in?
You don't wear pajamas, John.
They make well, but I can. I live in Florida. I can wear them out to Walmart.
Point.
So the next main stop for me in this catalog would have been there's housewares. Curiously, and maybe this is a little counter to what I had said earlier, but
electronics.
Yeah, you start getting to the electronics and start getting my attention again, including calculators, televisions, etc. Now, I remember as I got older, I really coveted having a mini television and some little mini TVs here. Now, I'm surprised in 83 they had a mini color one, because I wouldn't have guessed they had that. But one Christmas, one of the best Christmases I had was getting a mini television that was part of was built into a boombox. And that was something I had for years.
That's a thing?
Oh my God. Yeah, it was awesome. Had a cassette
It was a black and white
Nice.
screen, though, yeah? Was it black and white in that one? Yeah. I remember seeing those. Yeah.
It might have been like 4 inches or 5 inches diagonal. It was pretty small, but oh gosh. But as I said before, any TV is big if you sit close enough. VCRs, VHSs, stereo, boom boxes are certainly things that I wanted to get my hands on.
Oh, look at those things. Oh, my goodness. I can copy a lot of cassettes with that.
Yeah, Walkman.
Not that I would.
I didn't get to circle a Walkman in any catalog, but that was one of my favorite gifts, although it was a knockoff.
And here's where we get to more of the toys and kid stuff. And Ernest is page 456 out of the 609 pages here. I remember really wanting skates. You know?
Yes, I always wanted roller skates. I never got any.
Oh no!
Cat did get broccoli that year though, so that was good. Just, healthy.
Some canned corn.
In 7th grade, I got
bag of flour,
figure skates. And boy, did I love having figure skates. I don't know. You know what's weird is I don't remember asking for them. And I don't remember that I had ever ice skated before that. But after I got them, I lived down the street from a park that had an ice skating rink in it. Well, it was outdoor ice skating rink. Every day after school, I would ice skate during the but the rink was open. So again, I don't know how I ever knew I could skate, except that I roller skated. But then I skated every day. I skated.
I received a pair of skates. Not roller skates that I wanted, but ice skates, because we would go up sometimes to this lake in New York in the winter when it was really, really, really frozen. So I did get to use them, but it was like once.
Ice skate's not big down here in the South, unsurprisingly.
Let's see, checking on some
There's
of our
no
notes
rinks.
here. Nick says in 83, he was watching Masters of the Universe on a mini black and white TV.
Ooh,
Awesome.
fancy.
You know what's funny is, again, this is one of those, I don't know, we shouldn't be complaining about any of this stuff, but I'm going to say it anyway, is that there's times where like I'll watch a TV show or movie on my phone and I'm like, ugh, you know, I should watch this on my big TV. Like, why am I doing this? I'll watch it on a laptop. That's much bigger. But I love that little TV. I would watch so much stuff on it. I never complained about watching it on a little tiny 5-inch television or 4-inch television monitor.
So why complain now?
Marcus says, I have that Casio keyboard. Oh, he's got one of the Casio keyboards that we saw in there.
Sampling keyboard. Yeah.
Yes.
While you're on the topic of tiny TVs, since my dad was a long haul truck driver, as we all know, one Christmas he got a portable television. And I'm talking early 80s portable television, right? And it's so much like the television was so frivolous that was also like a weather radio and whatever. It was all these practical things. And also there's this little 3-inch screen, which is the reason you bought it in the first place, right? Yeah. And it was like a satchel, you know, I think like satchel phones. This was a satchel TV. Like it probably weighed 9 pounds. Like it was really big and heavy.
As big as the catalog.
Right. It was bigger, baby. When he graduated from that, I got that in my room and you could hook stuff up to it. So I'm hooking my Atari up to this tiny thing. Because it had the little, yeah. And so now it's microscopic and I'm like, I can't even see the pixels. They're so little.
I did that too. You're right.
And because it's so small, it looks smoother because you can't see the individual pixels. It's kind of like blurry anyway. They squished it way down, and it was awesome.
Well, I'm gonna take a picture. Just take a peek through the remaining toys here. I think there was.
Ooh.
We only got about 200 more pages, so
we were older at this point. So
I'm
going to blow through the Fisher Price section here.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. I made a note here.
And the babies. The babies in the toddlers.
Oh, the frog piano.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, classic. All right, now we're getting the toys in earnest here for our age.
Yeah.
Karen's happy now. You got Karen happy.
Oh yeah.
We got to the Barbies.
Barbies. Is that is that the dolls Karen was talking about? Barbie dolls?
I don't know. Not necessarily Barbie. I think that she
just dolls in general.
Maybe all different kinds.
Yeah, there's so many sizes and varieties of dolls these days. Or I guess there were even back then. But
Skipper.
Look, they got a cruise. Speaking of cruise ships, Barbie had a cruise ship.
Oh my!
Wow, I don't remember that.
No,
I think my sister had this Barbie case. I think it was up here.
Barbie's making meth. She's got her own little camper.
Oh yeah, she's got a little Breaking Bad camper. Oh, there's the Cabbage Patch.
What? The next page had presidential dolls.
Wait, what?
Did anybody ever write, I would like, please, a Mark Twain and an Abraham Lincoln? Was that Napoleon and Groucho Marx? Who are all these people?
And then there's the clowns and the dummies.
I got a ventriloquist dummy for Christmas one year that I actually asked for. Yeah.
I always wanted one.
His name is Willie Talk.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Now you said
he will.
Okay. And do you still have him?
No, sadly. I have seen one of them in the wild since then, but it was in rough shape.
Oh, I always wanted walkie-talkies. I never got them.
Oh, look at that giant walkie-talkie.
Walkie-talkies. Yes, that was something I coveted for sure.
I did get a microscope one year and a science set. You know, it came with test tubes and, glass
Yes.
plates, and that was awesome.
Did it have like some of the samples already had like things in them?
Yeah.
Like slices of avocado or whatever, little micro. Yeah.
Yeah, and had some
Like you
blank
could do your
ones.
own, but it
Yep.
also had like, this is the cell wall of a plant
Right,
or
yes.
something, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
I love
already
that.
like pre-made. Yeah.
I was examining
Unicycles.
the broccoli I got for Christmas on the slide.
There's a cross-section of
This is fresh.
Well, here you go, Kat. You had some Matchbox cars.
Did. Oh, I was I was
Look at the
definitely a little car
trucks.
fan. I see the
there you go.
semis.
Got a
Yes.
cab over.
Matchbox
got a
car. Yep. Oh, yes. I
reefer,
see right
yeah.
smack in the
Yeah,
middle now.
there we go.
And it's in the middle there. Yep.
Oh, I always wanted a car wash. You know, where you turn the crank and the
Has
car
the
would get
little
washed.
foam pads in there that would wash it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it would come out.
Yeah.
Oh, I always wanted that.
I don't know how good an audio podcast this will be, but I'm having a hell of a
I
good
know.
time.
That's fine. You can watch the video on Facebook if you're listening.
Okay.
On your
yeah.
app.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or on
I
YouTube.
loved construction trucks too. The
Goot,
Tonga
goot,
trucks.
goot. I see the
Oh,
Duke boys
yeah.
down there.
There you go.
No way, General Lee. Oh
When
my
people could
gosh.
still take a joke about racism.
Oh,
Now
look
you
at
can't even
that.
joke about it.
Oh. Well, it's square. It's not even a flag. It's just an emblem
There
now.
you go. Yeah.
Yeah. yeah.
We'll pretend.
I know. Oh,
I saw
here,
a Knight
this
Rider
is,
up there.
this is
Ooh,
what
the
I wanted to get
racetracks.
to. Yes. I
TSR. We
love
mean racing.
racing cars.
Oh.
Racetracks. And I did ultimately get one racetrack that I was always a kid that took supreme care of his toys. This is why I still have many of them today. The ones that I wanted, I still have, and they're still in great shape. But I did get a racing set once upon a time. And it was one of my favorite things that year. Absolutely.
Cool.
Before you flip, that one that goes up the wall is only $49. Like that's a $200 racetrack. I don't mean vintage. I mean, if you want to buy one today that has that much track and does something cool, $200, you know?
Oh, there's one more section we got to get to. Here we go.
Ooh,
Yes.
electronic games. Look at that.
I got so excited about this part every
There's
year, too.
Merlin.
John probably got a video on most of these toys here.
Look at the little driving one, the little steering
Yes.
wheal one. Oh, I always wanted one of those.
Driving game. Oh,
Yes.
see,
It's the one.
So as a generic name.
It's a classic.
Oh my gosh.
Here's the Coleco ones in the upper left there. Those little micro guys.
Oh, yeah. John, you've got some of these today,
Yeah.
right?
I do. I have one of each of
Oh.
those. Well, not all of them. I
There's
don't
a-
have the
Yeah.
Cubert.
Donkey Kong
Yeah.
Pac-Man,
Okay.
Cat's favorite Cubert.
I'm Cubertless. $10 rebate. I'm like, what?
Okay. Yeah, let's see. You would have paid, what is it? Can you see on here?
$50? I think they were $50.
Oh, yeah, $45 here.
Mm-hmm. That's what I remembered. Yep.
So how much you pay for one these days?
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
you can get a rough shape one for $50 these days that works.
Okay.
But if you want them in the box or pristine, but they've held their value for
Yeah.
40 years. So yeah.
Wow.
Nice. Here you go. This is the Atari 2600 side by side with the Coleco Gemini. I do not remember the Gemini, John.
The Gemini is just a 2600 clone. It did exactly what the 2600 did. It was nothing different. They just duplicated the chipset, and the controller had a paddle as well as a joystick on it. Yep.
So it was a
would play,
knockoff.
it could play 2600 carts.
That's all. And that's all it could play.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you see this Atari 2600 as the Darth Vader. It's referred to as the Darth Vader
Mm-hmm.
because
That's right.
it's all black, no wood grain.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Pac-Man's for sale. Yep. This is
Pac-Man's in
Christmas
it.
83.
Oh, yeah. Much like E.T., that was a disappointment that year, that Pac-Man port. I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Todd Fry that did that?
It was. I still played the crap out of it, but yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
There-
I-
oh, yeah.
I didn't
absolutely.
care one way or the other. I was playing it.
I mean,
we got that.
Yeah.
There are limitations to the technology, but he squeezed every bit out of it
Mhm.
that he could at the time. I've actually got a Darth Vader here. Darth Vader. Oh,
Yeah.
John, this is what I want to this day, a Vectrex.
Vectrex?
The Vectrex.
Oh, they're
Gosh.
beautiful. I still see them all the time, and they're so expensive.
I know.
Hundreds
Oh.
of dollars.
The last show I was
No.
at, it was $600.
Beautiful.
Oh.
Yeah.
What
Sounds
did I do
about right.
here? I just crashed.
Yeah.
Oh, ColecoVision. This is the one. This is the one I never got that I wanted so bad. And how wise were my parents to not get me one, because right after I would have gotten an 83, the crash. And it was only on the market for like 2 years. Vectrex 2 came out at the same time, was only around long enough to die. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Because they were launched right toward the end of
there you go. That's the whole catalog there.
Oh, and look at that washer and dryer on the back. How
I
exciting.
didn't see any Lego. What kind of catalog was that?
I must have skipped it when I jumped forward here and there.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, so there you go. Now,
I didn't see any Swatch watches on there.
It's probably in there. I skipped to the older stuff. When did you get your first Swatch? Were you, was it in 83, you think?
Yeah, I think so. Somewhere around there. This is my original one. The band is not original.
Nice.
This was one of my favorite gifts I got for Christmas that I must have asked for. I can't imagine. Somebody just took a wild guess and thrilled me to pieces with a Swatch watch. I don't know how that worked.
Well, like we alluded to, the mail order businesses of yesterday brought about a lot of things that we take for granted today, certainly in this Amazon or Walmart world, including store credit cards, money back guarantees, gift deliveries, wholesale savings passed on to the consumer that we mentioned. Mm-hmm. And while mailing, none of us did this, it seems, but while filling out a form at the back of a book and sending it in the hopes that you might receive it in 8 to 10 weeks seems like a crazy ass concept today.
Right?
One day we may need only have our pupils dilate a little bit more than usual when we're looking at an ad on TikTok
And
to have Amazon dock our NFT collection before sending a drone to place it right under our tree. Leave your window open.
The drone will drop it in.
Yep.
Well, what I think about this book is, and sort of our experience even just today looking at it, is just more than just as a predecessor of how we shop today, or maybe how we'll make purchases in the future, because as I mentioned, this is a forerunner to many things. These catalogs themselves are like time capsules. They provide a portal back to an era when toys were far more important than mortgages. Well, except for John, maybe. Toys are still more important to John.
They're both pretty important.
Okay. Even they're equal.
I need somewhere to keep my toys, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But there were windows at a time when the mere anticipation of a gift was as good, if not sometimes better, than getting the gift itself. Like I said, living that magic sort of twilight of I don't know if I'm going to get it or not. Still never got my Omnitrack. Is that what it was called? Omnitrack, that little truck you could program, go forward
Big
3
track.
feet. Big track.
Oh.
Big track. And it had the trailer too that you could dump stuff.
Right. Yes, that was another separate purchase.
Can I share with you a tiny story from the Christmas of 79?
Okay.
So I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
And I was head over heels in love with space Lego. That might have been brand new in 78 or 79. And I asked for everything. And there was like a moon, you had moon plates that had little craters, and there was like a little shuttle that would go back and forth and all these things. And my favorite set that was the most expensive, I didn't think I was going to get, was called the Galaxy Explorer. That was like this big, like Star Destroyer pie, like cheese shaped wedge thing that had big rockets in the back and everything. And that Christmas, I was home from school in the house, presents everywhere, and I could shake things and know they're Lego, but not know which one. And it was killing me because they were under the tree already. And I knew they were Lego. I just didn't know which ones. And one of them was the Galaxy Explorer. And that was long ago buried in a pile of other Lego and sold off and got rid of. But I'm still chasing the high from that Christmas when I had so much of that stuff that just last year, Lego came out with a reimagined Galaxy Explorer. And I brought a prop.
Here we go.
What?
You're not the only one, Kat.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
this is the reimagined Galaxy Explorer that came out last year that is bigger in every way. But the reason I have this is because I'm still chasing Christmas of 79 and all the cool little, all the cool little gizmos and gadgets and the landing feet and everything, because I remember seeing it in the wish book, because I asked for everything and I probably got nearly everything I asked for that Christmas. It was amazing. And I was, I don't know when I came up for air building Lego that Christmas, but amazing. Yeah.
It's funny that, I think like we probably weren't able to keep our rooms clean, but we could organize the shit out of a Christmas list.
Yep.
I drew little pictures on my Christmas list that I found recently. I must have made them so endearing. If I made more than that they just couldn't resist.
Pictures of things you wanted, or just pictures in general?
Yeah, I did little doodles of each of the items.
Like you drew a swatch, or you drew
a tree.
A doll.
Yep, I drew a little tree.
You asked for a tree?
Oh, no.
Cat.
She might have.
Produce. And
she's a hippie. She's a hippie at heart.
Coniferous plants?
Dear Santa, in lieu of a gift, please plant a tree, Santa.
Please. Are you wearing hip sandals, Kat? Are you earth hug, tree hugger?
Anyway, yeah, look, if you have a chance, check out one of these books. You can check out our video certainly on YouTube or Facebook to see us look at one. But they're available, thank goodness, because they're look, they inspire all this nostalgia for us. But they're also a historical record of what we wore, how we played, how our homes are furnished. John pointed out there was furniture, in them. Yeah. The models in there showed how people looked or how we wanted to look. And over time,
to look at.
If you look at these over time, it
Yeah.
really shows the evolution of these things, whether it's clothing or consumer electronics.
Evolution of our taste, evolution of our style sensibilities, evolution of finance, how you can watch prices climb over the years. Yeah.
Hey, all right. That was our show.
And our show is brought to you thanks in part to our early adopters like Karen Flieger, who is right here with us tonight.
She gets a special one because she's here right now, too.
She does. I should have reversed that. I should have said Rick Parker's name first, but that's okay.
Oh, Rick
Parker.
That's all right. We still
He'll watch this eventually, maybe. Yeah. And thank you especially to our Secret of Our Success Level Patreon supporters. Yeah. Like several of them are here. Brandon Greer.
Oh, Brendan.
I'm gonna save somebody for last here. Tony Great. Nick Guillory is here, still maybe. Matt Marino.
Yeah.
John Henderson and Marcus Taylor.
As I mentioned earlier, not only has Marcus Taylor been a patron almost as long as he's been a listener, but he is now also he helps produce this episode, including the he helped produce our segment with regard to the wish books, and great job, Marcus. Seriously. And thank you so very much to all of you who have supported us all this time. And we would like to say a special welcome to our newest patron, who is RC from the NYC.
RC? All right. Awesome.
That's the full name that I have. Yep. RC from the NYC. My old stomping
I recognize
grounds.
that name from YouTube, RC. Awesome to see you here.
RC?
Very good.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that cross-pollination where we folks find one another, our stuff from each other.
Our media universe.
If you can support our show too, it would be so greatly appreciated because it actually costs money to produce this show every week. Seriously. I mean, we're not making it up, right? We got to pay for stuff.
Nope.
You know how the world works, right? Yep. But if you can't give us $1 or $2 or 10 or 25 or 100, hey, if you've got the deep pockets, write us a check for $10,000 and we will stop recording. You can pay us to not do the show anymore.
If you're sick of it,
you're tired of it. But hey, you could just make a comment or send us an email or subscribe to our YouTube channel. With regard to our episode today, we did post on our socials asking for folks about their favorite toys that they may have received or ones they didn't. And our friend, author Sky McDonald wrote, the greatest gifts she received as a kid were Rainbow Bright doll, which has that troubling TV show. Remember
the backstory? Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Sky, you got to.
You told us about Kat.
Maybe you watched it. So bizarre. That's the one with the twinks, right?
Yes.
And My Little Pony Castle. Yes. Oh gosh, yes, My Little Pony. And a gift that she never got was a Snoopy snow cone maker, which I remember talking to John on my very first appearance on Grown Up about that. Which is like Snoopy's on the house and you put the ice inside him and he shits into the. Like, what is it supposed to be? That's what we're trying to figure out.
The ice comes out like the entrance to the doghouse. I believe. I don't think it's like a Snoopy, and you shove ice in his head and crank it out his butt. No, it's not like that.
You do shove it in his head and crank it, right? And then it comes out inside the house.
I want to say it's like a little chimney or something, because there was like a press that pushed it in. Maybe
you might be right. Yeah, I might be missing.
There are no bodily functions suggested by the Snoopy snow cone maker, to my knowledge.
Yes, that's true. And then we had some folks
could be
recently
wrong.
chime in about our Christmas movie episode. Nicole wrote, okay, gonna have to listen to this episode because I know there are debates about what is a Christmas movie, such as Die Hard, which I watched last was Christmas Eve, and sorry, but was bored.
What?
There you go.
What?
Mm.
How? Bored? Okay.
I mean, Christmas or not, I can see, but bored with Die Hard?
I'm surprised.
It's not into action movies.
That's
and
true.
Nick,
Yeah, it's not for
Nick
everybody.
wrote, Nick had quite many thoughts about this, but getting down to the heart of it here, after praising us for our fantastic episode, he said that I think think our approach could use a little tweak to help make it less controversial.
Oh.
What Nick did is review. I was going to say Nick removed all the racism from it. Now it's not as controversial. No, it's not racist. I think it could use a little tweak to help make it less controversial. Instead of using redemption as your data point, I recommend asking whether or not the story is uplifting. I understand that might be much more subjective, but one of the best parts of a good Christmas movie is how it makes us feel. Now, I wrote back to Nick. I think this is kind of what John was nudging us into when he was suggesting, like, well, how do you feel about Christmas Vacation, for example? But I always tried to avoid Christmas spirit because is nebulous the word? It's too, you can't like.
It's very esoteric. Like it's very subjective. And what do you mean by that? Yeah, I get that. Yeah, you want something more clinical that you can get your hands on, right?
I think uplifting, you could sort of, point to something and say this is uplifting or not. And then I think we do get It's a Wonderful Life in there, even though I had some issues with that, whether that's a Christmas movie. And we avoid Gremlins.
Yes.
If there's any uplifting in there, it's just
It's not enough.
It's just tiny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not enough.
What? It's a Wonderful Life, you mean? Or Gremlins?
Gremlin.
No, Gremlins, she's saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's not much uplifting to Gremlins.
Oh, I thought she was joining me on the It's a Wonderful Life debate. Because I'm like, you're right. The whole movie is
Cat.
like, the whole end of the movie is, you know what? I won't kill myself. Christmas spirit.
It's been a long time since I've seen that, and I'm feeling inspired to watch it again, and I'll get back to you on that.
Oh, well, let me know when you want to watch it. We can watch it, stream it together because I watch it every year at least once.
Oh my gosh, I would love to do that. On board.
Cool. All right. Hey, guys, we will talk to you next time on 1980s Now.
Until next time.
Ho, ho, ho.